Zudio is growing so fast and so vastly in India, right? I mean, they just give great fashion at a very convenient price, and it's growing leaps and bounds. They have not spent a single rupee in marketing there, and the growth story is there. Businesses are still optimizing for text SEO. I think it's also high time that people start, optimizing for voice SEO. And third is, with the advent of AI, people might be just scanning and searching, right? Personalization gives you a better ROI. Targeting advertising gives you better ROI. With the advent of from mass to digital platforms, you can also have more control on your ROI. Earlier, you are playing, let's say, an ad on TV. You are not sure if it's working, not working. By the time you know it's not working, you have already burned quite a lot of money. Now with digital, you can at least do A/B experimentation. You can know what's working, what's not working. So you have more control on your cost, more control on your ROI.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of The Growth Genius, powered by Infidigit, the specialists in SEO. This is where we bring to you growth stories in marketing and business. Today we have a very special growth genius with us, as he calls himself a youngish marketeer, has worked across various brands, across various industries, and he's going to give us insights on how marketing happens in an e-commerce brand. So join me in welcoming Mr. Shishir Kataria, who is the Director of Marketing at Tata Cliq. Hi Shishir, thanks a lot for coming to the Growth Genius podcast. Thanks a lot for your time. We are very grateful to you.
Thanks, Mehul. Excited to be here, and very, very grateful for the invitation, and looking forward to some exciting chat with you. So let's jump in.
Absolutely. Shishir, my first question is to understand about your role. So how do you define your role at Tata Cliq?
Okay. I think it's been quite a long journey at Tata Cliq. I joined back in Jan of 22, so it's been over 2 years now, and I've been blessed to sort of work in, I would say, multiple facets of marketing. I joined as head of brand marketing, and just to give you a bit of context, Tata Cliq essentially has 3 business units. There is Tata Cliq Mainstay app, there is Tata Cliq Luxury, and we have a few months back we launched the newest baby from Tata Cliq, which is called Tata Cliq Palette. It focuses on all things beauty. And I joined as head of brand marketing for the Mainstay Tata Cliq app. And over the time, I was blessed to work across performance and retention also for Tata Cliq. And very recently, I have taken the mandate as the entire brand marketing charter for all 3 BUs. So now I take care of brand for Tata Cliq Mainstay app, Tata Cliq Luxury, and Tata Cliq Palette. Essentially, if designations and nomenclatures apart, I think I would say that how I personally like to define the role for myself and for the team, for my team members is, like, first of all, be the voice of the consumer in the system. You are, as a brand team, we are the closest to the consumer. We have to bring in the consumer perspective first. So that's number one. Second is essentially lead the, I would say, vision for the brand to deliver on business goals. It can't live in isolation as a brand. It has to deliver on business goals. So how are you essentially linking brand and business goals? That's number 2 for me. I think the third tenet of my role, I would say, is making all the 3 brands of Tata Cliq Mainstay app, Tata Cliq Luxury, Tata Cliq Palette, a very beloved and culturally loved brands in India and hopefully globally at some point. But those are the 3 big tenets I see: consumer first, business value to be added, and making something which consumers love as a brand.
Very interesting. And coming to your professional journey, your professional journey has been through various brands and various industries. So tell us more about your journey.
Sure, Mehul. I would again say, I've been blessed to work across multiple sectors. I never thought, over a span of a decade, I would be able to touch multiple sectors, able to touch multiple small scale and large scale brands. I started my journey back in 2012 with an FMCG firm called Kraft Heinz. It's one of the globally leading foods and beverage company. And in India at that time, they used to have brands like Complan, Glucon-D, Nicelle, and Heinz Tomato Ketchup. And I started my journey with them mostly in sales, did a few years of sales, and then transitioned into marketing role there. And luckily found myself enough to be starting with innovation. I think it's a great segue into marketing, because as if you have a role in innovations, you essentially get to see all these stages of a brand coming to life from a piece of paper to an actual product on the shelf. And did the innovation role there for some time, moved into the core brand building for Complan. And post almost spending 4.5 years in FMCG, I moved to media and entertainment with Star Sports, Star India. And I think I probably worked on the brand which is as common as common salt in India, which is cricket. I mean, people have the love for it, people have the passion for it. I think every Indian, has an association with cricket. So I was working in the cricket vertical as a marketing manager. And once we took over the IPL rights, I was leading the IPL charter with the cricket lead out there. And I think that was a great learning experience. I mean, essentially scaling a big brand like IPL. Like IPL, when we took over, it was such a big brand. How do you essentially take such a huge Goliath and make it even bigger? I think that's something that was a great learning experience. Then eventually moved to consumer tech by internal transition into Hotstar, where I was leading sports vertical, and did very interesting innovation there. Was not at scale, but was very close to my heart. Something called Hotstar Dost. Essentially, we got the best of stand-up comics of India like Zakir, Abhishek Upmanyu, Bassi, Anmol Singh Bassi, all these guys into the commentary box, and they did live commentary on IPL on Hotstar, exclusively for Hotstar.
Oh, interesting.
I think that was like it was sort of great product / marketing conglomeration and innovation. And post that, I moved to Tata Cliq after spending 5 years in sports and media. Just wanted to do something different, and ended up in e-retail, e-commerce, and been here for some time now. And very glad to be working across verticals of mass fashion, luxury fashion, and beauty at the same time.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Coming to the next question, I wanted to understand your perspective on the changing consumer needs, specifically in the e-commerce industry.
When it comes to consumer needs, I think we have to understand, Mehul, who is the biggest sort of consumer in this category. And just for some data reference, 70% of the fashion shoppers in India are below the age of 30. And this cohort is only getting younger. I mean, Gen Z is taking the lion's share of the, I would say, e-commerce when it comes to fashion and beauty, largely.
Right.
And essentially, all the consumer trends and needs start to branch from what are these Gen Zs and young millennials asking and looking for. And I think there are a lot of big consumer needs which I'll touch upon, but I think the first one, which is very big, is this need for individuality, this need for personalization. Especially most of the Gen Z and young millennials, they don't want to be taught in a mass way. They say, I have my own personality, I have my own individuality, and how can your brand and how can your business cater to me in the most personal way is a big consumer. And I think e-commerce have been trying to crack that help of the whole personalization of site merchandising and all. But I think the holy grail of e-commerce when it comes to personalization is when you would be able to do something equivalent of Netflix. For example, if you open your Netflix and your friend's Netflix, you will never see the same content types. There will be different content
Absolutely.
types, different content buckets. So imagine a world where you open your e-commerce app and your friend opens your e-commerce app. There are different tiles basis what you shop. There are also, let's say, suppose you have shopped black shirts in the past and their friend has shopped white shirts in the past. For the same article, you see a black and your friend sees a white, but for the same article. How do you essentially get to that level of personalization? Color choices, fit choices is the holy grail when it comes to this consumer need. I think the other big consumer need is, I think this entire younger cohort, they see convenience via tech. I mean, they want their life to be as convenient as possible when it comes to tech. That's why the whole Q-commerce is thriving, because it primarily essentially relies on the technological convenience. So how do you essentially leverage tech into building convenience into the e-commerce business models? For example, with, let's say, virtual reality, what Lenskart has cracked with the virtual try-ons. How do you take it to clothes, to footwear, to beauty, makeup? And a lot of players are trying to do a lot in this area. And I think we'll see a lot of innovations with the advent of AI in this. Even voice search is a big convenience, right? You go to any 15-year-old, they are not using their thumbs to type and search. They are using their voice to search.
Yeah.
How are you going to essentially make your app and your business more voice search and more voice SEO oriented is big. So how to essentially serve the need for convenience into business is the second one. Third is essentially how do you look when it comes to value consumption. And value consumption essentially is different for the affluence tier. So someone who is more affluent is now more cognizant of conscious consumption. So they want to have consumption which is circular economies, which is more sustainable, which is better for the earth, better for the climate, and how are they making sure that their fashion choices, their consumption choices is ensuring that it goes back to, let's say, a Karigar's in some small village. How does it make sure that it's not having a negative impact on a carbon footprint lens? That's on the conscious consumption part, but we can't ignore there's also a huge value consumer sitting at the bottom of it. And there's a huge ask for a value consumption. And that's the reason why, let's say, Zudio is growing so fast and so vastly in India, right? I mean, they just give great fashion at a very convenient price, and it's growing leaps and bounds. They have not spent a single rupee in marketing there, and the growth story is there. So there are different asks from the brands and the businesses when it comes to consumption, and basis which category or which sort of affluence level you play to, you have to keep that in mind. But these are the three big needs I see in this Gen Z and young millennials demographic. One is essentially need for personalization to express individuality. Second is essentially, I would say, tech-based convenience. And third is my value consumption. My value consumption for a top tier is conscious consumption. For a part of the pyramid, it's great affordable fashion. So I would say those three pillars.
Very nicely summed up. Thank you so much, Shishir, for that. We'll just come to the next question. So, how has advertising changed in the digital age, and what are the benefits and pitfalls of this change?
Got it. I think it has changed tremendously. Since I joined marketing. Over the past 8 to 10 years, it's been a roller coaster, and I jokingly call this generation of marketers as the guinea pig marketers, because there are so many shiny objects which keep coming, and senior stakeholders keep asking, how are you going to leverage this new thing which has come in the market, right? How are you leveraging AI in marketing? So it has changed quite a bit, quite a bit. I think the biggest change which I have seen and observed is how the advertising has become from more mass to more personal. Now you have ability and platforms and tools to create micro segments, tailor your message as per those micro segments, and push multiple benefits basis the segment, right? So targeted advertising from mass advertising has been a big change, for sure. Second is, which stems from the consumer, is the lack of attention span. I think attention span is just getting shorter and shorter. Earlier, people had the I would say patience to sit through a 2-minute brand film. Now people are like, tell me the story in 20 seconds pause. Like, do not belabor your point. I am watching a reel. Please tell your story in 20 seconds and tell your brand proposition in 20 seconds.
True.
So how do you essentially tailor your messaging from long form to short form is very, very important. And the third is, how do you make advertising and comms more relatable? I think consumers, especially young consumers, want the brands to talk to them more like a peer or like their BFFs, and not like coming from a moral high ground. So how do you essentially make the messaging more relatable? How do you essentially make messaging which is more consumable by them, short form versus long form, and the whole, how do you make messaging and advertising from mass to personal is other three big changes I've seen over time. And of course, there are benefits, pros and cons of everything, right? For example, right. Personalization gives you a better ROI. Targeting advertising gives you better ROI. With the advent of from mass to digital platforms, you can also have more control on your ROI. Earlier, you are playing, let's say, an ad on TV. You are not sure if it's working, not working. By the time it's not working, you have already burned quite a lot of money. Now with digital, you can at least do A/B experimentation. You can know what's working, what's not working. So you have more control on cost, more control on ROI. But that also means that there's a need for creating multiple messaging instead of just one message. So I mean, you take anything, there will be always pros and cons of it. But yeah, I think the three ways which I was just saying, mass versus targeted, short form versus long form, and being more relatable are essentially three big changes I've seen over the past 6 years.
And I think the pros actually gives you a lot of opportunity to experiment and to do new things and create business value as compared to what it was earlier.
Correct.
So
also,
with the
correct, Mehul. Also the kind of avenues and contents you have to do storytelling, right? You can tell the story in a podcast, you can tell a story in a reel, you can tell a story in a in the traditional 30-second advertising. You have everything available for you. You can tell the story via two influencers chatting on an Insta live. You know, the way you can do storytelling has just expanded so much now in this world. I think that's been a big change.
True, very true. Like we mentioned that marketing has changed a lot over the past few years. So how do you build a e-commerce brand ground up, since it is either digital first or a completely digital brand that you have to work upon?
I think I would definitely not call myself an expert on building a brand from the ground up. I've never done that 0 to 1 journey, to be honest. But I think from whatever I understand and drawing from my experiences, I think building a brand essentially has very familiar, I would say, steps, and I would say pretty linear steps. But are you doing the steps in the right way, and are you asking yourself the right questions is very important. I mean, it always starts with can you find an idea which no one is serving? Is there a need gap in the market? If you can find the need gap in the market, are you able to fulfill it in a cost-effective way? Is always the second question. Is there product market fit? Is it viable for the business? Is it economically viable? Whether it's, let's say, whether you are building a brand for 100 million Indians, whether you're building a brand for 1 million Indians, doesn't matter. It has to be economically viable. And I think I see a lot of early stage brands, they get muddled into trying to be cool rather than trying to be distinctive. So they want to, I think a lot of young brands that I see advertising, instead of telling why you should buy them and why they are relevant for the consumer, it's mostly like, hey, here is another attractive brand and this is why why I'm attractive. So it's less on relevance and more on the novelty, that I'm also here now. So come and check me out, versus this is the reason why you should check me. And I think a lot of D2C and e-commerce brands probably fall in that case, because there's of course the ability to segregate distinctiveness in a cluttered category gets tougher and tougher. But I think having at least internally very strong USP for yourself and being sure that that's what you want to communicate to the consumers is very important. So I think I would say lastly that having an idea and having a lot of consumer backing of the idea to make sure it's a great fit for the consumer and it's great fit economically, that's, I would say, the first paper to concept. Like it exists in the air. How do you take that idea and write it on a piece of paper and do research on it? You do your modeling on it. That's the first step. And second step is when you're taking that on paper brand to actually in the world to the consumers, you are making the right choices when it comes to what are you saying to the consumer. Those two big life stages are very important for an early stage.
Got it. Very interesting. Next question for you, Shishir, is can you share some insights on the role of influencers in marketing a brand?
Yeah, no, I think influencers are a very, very, I would say, interesting media vehicle or marketing. I think the three big factors which they bring to the table for me as a marketer are, I think, trust and relatability. I think there is an inherent trust amongst a certain set of audiences towards their influencers, and they feel whatever this person is saying is genuine and authentic. So authenticity and trust is solved, and relatability is solved for that segment who follows the influencer. That's number one. Second is ability to create content and innovate in content. Right? I don't have to go to a creative agency. I don't have to go to production house to create content. I can give a brief to an influencer, and they will create a content for me. So by content creation, headache is taken away from it. So we are solving for trust and relatability. We are solving for content creation and innovation, because I mean, there are a lot of influencers who give a lot of innovative ideas. Probably, they will bring alive the idea, let's say, having a conversation with another influencer, or sort of showcasing the brand in a regular life usage. So that's number two, how you can have different content sorts with influencers. And third is you can solve for multiple challenges or benefits with influencers. For example, if you want to solve for reviews and demonstration, your product is tough to demonstrate, tough to use, you can essentially leverage influencers for that. If you want to just build awareness for your brand, you can build influencers. You can use influencers for that. If you want to show the width of, let's say, for an e-commerce brand, the width of your catalog, or width of your assortment, right? You can take one influencer for every category that you sell and every brand you sell. So the ability to solve for multiple challenges, I think that's what influencers bring to the table. Other than, of course, trust, authenticity, relatability, and solving the headache, which is big for marketers, the content creation, right? I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. That we have the brief. Now, how do you create content out of this? I think that whole headache is taken. So I think that's three big benefits, I would say.
Nice, very nicely put, Shishir. Thanks for that. Coming to one of my favorite questions, where do you see organic search in the journey of building and growing an e-commerce brand?
I think of extreme importance. I mean, the number one way people discover the brand, I mean, till now, hopefully, is Google search. I mean, it's people are looking for something, they just go and search for it. Could be any damn random people, right? I think for any brand, figuring out what is the ecosystem of your searches and keywords is paramount. There have been so many funny examples, like very simple example, right? For example, if you an affluent or a tier 1 consumer would be searching for trousers and jeans, probably a tier 2 consumer would be searching for pants. And how do you essentially, very simple examples, and how to essentially make sure that you're catering to the entire width of search ecosystem and keywords is very important. So I think because it's such a big discovery and browsing medium, and I think now Google is integrating more and more of the shopping journey into the SEO. I think if you go and look at the West, entire shopping journey is integrated. People can just search, Google throws shopping options, you can click there, you can buy, you can add to cart, you can check out without leaving the Google search page. So if you are not optimized for SEO, if you are not optimized for rankings, I think in near future, if not immediately, I think right now you must be only losing click share and mind share, but very soon you will also start losing wallet share on the SEO. So I think long point short, as the shopping journeys get more and more merged in the search itself, it's very important to essentially tailor your brand for the entire SEO ecosystem that you have. And also, what we touched upon, right? One of the consumer needs, the tech-based convenience and the voice search. A lot of brands, I talk to my peer set and my peer group. A lot of brands and businesses are still optimizing for text SEO. I think it's also high time when people start, optimizing for voice SEO. And third is, with the advent of AI, people might be just scanning and searching, right? Oh, I saw that. Right now watching TV. I see the outfit. I pause the TV. I take a picture. I do search for it. Are you optimizing your business for image SEO also in future? I think it has to be more holistic. So very important and very exciting work coming very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Throws open a lot of doors for people to actually drive value through marketing campaigns in organic search especially. Wonderful. And Shishir, what is your take on AI in marketing?
Funny. I think, yeah.
This question had to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's just n number of people you ask, you will get n number of opinions on this. But I think for me, it's like any scientific tool, right? I mean, depends on how you want to use the tool. It could give you meaningful results in that way. So I think AI is great as a, of course, technology, right? And it's not like AI has not been there. Google and Meta have been using AI to optimize and prioritize their segmentation and their inventory plans. Of course, I think what we are seeing now becoming big is generative AI, and the second is conversational AI. These are the two big things which will take marketing forward. How do you use generative AI in creating, let's say, imagery and content which is relevant for your consumers? What does it mean for the industry, right, Mehul? For example, earlier you had to go and do a photo shoot to create a bank of statics for your brand. Now, if you can use generative AI and create statics, what does it mean for the other side of the ecosystem? Does that mean that soon we will have people just giving rights to their face usage? Take my face as inspiration, create a generative AI. You don't need to do a photo shoot. So people might be licensing their images and faces versus trying to sort of charge for their time. So generative AI is big. Conversational AI is humongously big in customer service and support. Because people, I think the biggest drawback of chatbots was that people did not feel that personalized touch or connection. They always felt it's very, very. They could sense, they could tell if it's machine driven or if there's a human sitting on the other side. I think with conversational AI, that gap is bridging more and more. So how do you essentially use conversational AI in customer service, customer support, and conversational journeys on, let's say, WhatsApp, shopping journeys on WhatsApp? I think that's important. So my take is it's a great tool. I think it solves a lot of problems in marketing. I think AI has been historically used for predictive analysis, projections, inventory bias, shopper segmentation. I think now, how does it solve for the content and creative is big, because that's been a big, I would say, part of marketing ecosystem which was not automated for the longest time. So good things, great things, but I think we also think of the ecosystem a bit holistically. What impact does it make on the other related parties?
That's important. Very true. And can you share some examples of AI that you have used in marketing? That would be great.
Sure. As I was saying, a lot of AI ML has been implemented in shopper segmentation. So we have done a lot of personalization of our cohorts, a lot of segmentation of our cohorts, first-party data basis AI. For example, we, a few months back, we essentially used AI ML to segment our shoppers, essentially our shoppers' names into east, west, north, south. Essentially, if there's a certain kind of surname, what is the more likelihood of the person being in which zone and geography, and can you personalize basis that? So shopper segmentation, personalization is big. How do you also show the content basis the browsing history, basis the categories they have purchased, basis their age, gender? I think these all are predictive AI trends and analysis which is done in e-commerce to display products in your site. I think what we're using AI actively is for dynamic content creation. So if we give inputs to the AI in the way that these are the 10 cohorts which you want to target, and these are the attributes. Now we want to put out a sale message. This sale is upcoming, and this is the core offering. And the AI essentially tailors the entire message basis the cohorts, basis the behavior attributes we have placed. That this is a young college goer. This is a job. This is a job. This is essentially a male job goer. So it just sort of divides basis that. We have been using generative AI for imagery. So a lot of images, and you won't be able to even tell me. Like if you go to Tata Cliq platform, and I'm not going to tell which one is AI generated, which one is not, but a lot of image we use basis AI. We have actively used AI for our creative adaptations. Essentially, that these are the three masters, right? And it has to be converted in X number of sizes, and the copy has to be tailored basis the segmentation. It just does it on a click of a button. I think on social with our agency partner, we use it for trend and sentiment analysis. That if there's a certain topic, there's a certain topicality. How would a young shopper, how would an old shopper is expected to behave, and what are the right conversation picks for that cohort essentially. And of course, I mean AI powered chatbots are there now in our customer support. So yeah, across the funnel, multiple stages, we're using different examples and different usages of AI.
Very, very interesting. Thanks for sharing those examples, Shishir. Those will be very insightful for the audience as well. Coming to the last leg of the podcast, any specific growth story you would like to share from your career?
There's one story which is very, very personal to me, and I think it's also because I'm a very, very ardent sports fan and huge lover of cricket. I think the first season of IPL at Star Sports, I think the way we took a big property and make it just bigger, I think it's very, very close to my heart. So just to give you some context, Mehul, we acquired IPL rights, and when I say we, I mean Star acquired IPL rights from Sony back in 2017 September for the 5-year cycle, 2018, 19, 20, 21 and 22. And previous to that, the 10 editions had been broadcasted on the earlier broadcaster, which was Sony. And they had paid at their time they had paid 8,000 crores for a 10-year cycle, and we paid 16,000 crores for a 5-year cycle. So essentially, we quadrupled the per match right fee. And because we had quadrupled the per match right fee, it also meant we have to charge a very heavy monetization. But how do you charge a heavy monetization without increasing consumption disproportionately? So the whole idea was that if you want to recover the money, the consumption has to be increased, not in the usual trend which it has been growing. And let's say the CAGR at that point for IPL consumption was, and when I say IPL consumption, it's measured in watch time. So how many minutes of watch time IPL is getting on broadcast across the Indian televisions, and of course digital streaming. So at that time, when the last edition of IPL happened, the consumption of IPL was at 250 billion minutes. 250 billion minutes across India on TV. And essentially the growth rate was around 6 to 8% CAGR. That's the kind of growth it had seen over the 10 years. And so we just went to the drawing board and we tried to figure out what are the levers from the way we can essentially redefine IPL and reimagine IPL. I think the internal project keyword we used was reimagination. It has to be reimagined from ground up, from product, marketing, broadcast, everything. And we went to a lot of consumers to figure out what are the gaps, what are the need states we can fill. And we found a very interesting insight. We found that there are a lot of heavy cricket viewers who watch international cricket are not consuming IPL to the same extent. So they would be watching, let's say, 30-40 matches of a T20 World Cup, but watching only 6 to 8 matches of IPL. And when you go and ask them why is that happening, they say because they feel IPL is tamasha cricket. It's not serious. It's so many cheerleaders, colorful Bollywood celebrities, so much razzmatazz. It is not serious cricket, boss. I'm a serious cricket lover. I'm a sports lover. I'm not an entertainment lover. This is not for me. So the first consumption unlock became that we have to make it from an entertainment to sports first. Because even the light viewers of IPL were coming in for the 4s and 6s. So they were coming for the entertainment, but entertainment stemming out of cricket. So the first tenet became converting it from an entertainment to sports first. So from an India ka Tyohar, we went to game banayenge name, ye khel hai sher jawan tha. That sort of marketing position. Second was Sony was essentially mostly broadcasting it in English and Hindi, with very little focus on the other languages. And we had seen a lot of success from a Tamil broadcast of cricket. I think that's true for any content. People love to watch content in their native language, even if it's cricket, not cricket. I think there is this there was earlier used to be like, there used to be a lot of belief that cricket as a sport is best consumed in English, right? Like if you start commentating in Hindi, how would it sound like, But just to give you a number, Mehul, after all the languages have been introduced in cricket, the English consumption of cricket is only 8%. 92%
Wow.
of cricket is watched in Hindi or regional languages, which is Tamil, Telugu.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Very interesting.
And Hindi broadcast started so late, I think if I remember correctly, and I will be a bit off here, but it only started somewhere around 2010, the Hindi broadcast. And, cricket broadcast was happening in India since 95, even earlier,
Correct.
So it took like 15 years to take that leap that, Hindi can give a great unlock. And, we had seen that with Tamil also. So we, of course, expanded to Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Bangla, Marathi in the first year of IPL. So made it from just bilingual to multilingual IPL. And not just language, we also brought in regional affinity to the broadcast. For example, if you are watching IPL in Tamil, the broadcast that you will see, let's say on a CSK match, would be different from what you are seeing on a Star Sports Hindi. You will see more face and game time of CSK, of let's say Dhoni, if anything happens, how is Dhoni reacting, versus let's say on a Hindi broadcast. So it was regionally tailored for not just in language but in product also. So making it just from and I would say bilingual language is not even the right word. I would say 2 IPLs to multiple IPLs. So that was second unlock. Third unlock was people used to lose interest during the middle of the tournament. Very interested what's happening in the beginning, very interested what's happening in the end, but losing interest in the middle. So we essentially created weekly tent poles, weekly hooks. This is a week of rivals. So you will see Delhi versus Bangalore, regional rivals essentially. This is a week where young guns will take on big names. So let's say a Rishabh Pant versus Dhoni. So we created weekly tent poles, weekly properties to continue interest during the IPL. So these are the 3 big tenets basis which we unlocked, and the consumption growth that year was close to 25% in terms of increase. So making just a big property extremely bigger, making a sport which India loves already, just making them more, essentially making India more passionate about IPL, and that's very close to my heart. I would say. Well, you got to work with my, my favorite sports stars and heroes and whatnot. So yeah, very close. Sorry, I think I went on quite a.
That's a great experience that you shared. Thank you. No, thanks a lot for sharing. I think that is something that gives a lot of insights in terms of how you can change something like an IPL, not just not just through language, but also through the visual experience. I mean, that is something which is taking customization to another level altogether. Wonderful. Thanks a lot for sharing that, Shishir.
Sure.
That was a very interesting story. Coming to the last question, what are the 4 takeaways for budding professionals you would like to end up with before signing off?
I don't know 4, but I think there are 3 things which I tell a lot to young marketers. Not like I am. Yeah, I am old now, I guess. But yeah, I mean, youngish, like younger than me marketers who are maybe starting their career journey. I think first is be as close to the consumer as possible. You have to. It's the only ask company has from you as in marketing, being in marketing as marketing manager, that you tell us customer perspective. So if you are not listening to your consumer, if you are not having live consumer interactions every month, if you're not clocking in something I call consumer hours, that what is the face-to-face, first, what is face-to-face time with a consumer, or on phone, you are not getting with consumers. If you're not getting that, it's a sin, it's a crime. If you're not reading about your consumers, if you're not talking to your consumers in some way, it's a sin. So be as close to your consumer as possible. Second is act as investment managers. I think I see this thing creeping in now that because of silos of marketing, digital marketing, brand marketing, retention marketing, a lot of people say that I'm just going to make ad for the brand, and I'm now look how many conversations have happened on the Twitter, look how many conversations X now, how many conversations have happened on Insta, look how much engagement my reels got. But unless you're not tying it up back to business metrics, it doesn't matter. I mean, marketing is an investment, and you have to have the mindset of an investment manager that I have to give return on investment, not via conversations, not via buzz, not via engagement, but via hardcore sales and profit numbers. So act as an investment manager and always be questioning yourself on what is the ROI of the investment I'm making. Even if it's small, even if it's large, even if it's like money spent on 30,000 spent on like a nano influencer or 30 crores spent on a TV plan. You have to ask yourself what is the investment, return on investment you are making. And the third is, it's more personal to me, and I think that because there's so much advancement happening in the marketing, it's become such a broad spectrum now. There's social media, retention, digital, Meta and Google platforms have their own specialists now. There are brand specialists now. So people have this. There's SEO, of course. There's this tendency of people trying to touch upon everything and trying to become a generalist very soon. I think the young marketers, the advice I give is be specialist first, then a generalist. If you have to first buy a seat at the table, it will come from a core competency. So you have to essentially make sure that you are specialist at something before you start expanding your horizon and widening your spectrum. Essentially invest first 2, 3, 4, 5 years of your career in learning something which no one can beat you. You are essentially the voice of an expert in that domain. And then comes widening of horizons. Very soon widening of horizons before specializing could be a bit, I would say, not the best way to build a career. So yeah, these three things, I would say: consumer first, investment manager mentality, and being a specialist first are the three big, I would say.
Jack of all and master of one.
Yes, very very wisely put. Yes.
Great. Thanks a lot, Shishir, for your valuable insights and coming onto the podcast, The Growth Genius. I think you shared a lot of valuable insights for our viewers, and they would be delighted to go through this episode. So
it was wonderful. Thanks once again. With you, and thanks again for
wonderful.
Great chatting. Yeah.
Thanks, Shishir. Hello, everyone. So this was truly an insightful episode on the Growth Genius podcast yet again, and something that actually I will take back from Shishir is the word that he coined, that was investment manager. So every marketer has to be an investment manager, focusing on how he generates value in terms of ROI. So having said that, I hope you enjoy the episode, and like, share and follow us on various platforms, be it audio or video platforms. The links of all of them are given in the descriptor below. So till the next episode of The Growth Genius, keep learning and keep inspiring. Thank you.